Your vehicle, your vessel, your soldier, forever. My savior, my creator, bring me home. Your vehicle, your vessel, your soldier, forever. My savior, my creator, bring me home. Never said boot camp was easy. Training to be your warrior, preparing for the battle of life. Your spirit, my armor, protecting me from the enemy. I choose the light. Save me. My soul is waiting. Save me. Bring my soul back home. Save me. My soul is waiting. Save me. Bring my soul back home. Hello, God. It's me again. Hello, God. Are you listening? So many times I wanted to walk away, give up, close my eyes, never wake. Angry at life, losing everything. Are you listening? Do you hear my cry? Hello, God, why? Hello, God, it's me again. Are you there? Do you hear my prayers? Hello, God, it's me again. Are you there? Do you hear my prayers? You gave me pain, showed me the way, how to love them, how to touch them. A hero, their angel. Hello, God, it's me again. Hello, God, are you listening? Until that day when I meet you. For now I'll say, hello, God, I love you. Until that day when I meet you. For now I'll say, hello, God, I love you. Your image, your light, you gave me life. Bring me back home. I walk onto the road. I choose the path back home. I want to feel your light. Save me from the darkest night. Save me. My soul is waiting. Your vehicle, your vessel, your soldier, forever. My savior, my creator, bring me home. Your vehicle, your vessel, your soldier, forever. My savior, my creator, bring me home. Never said boot camp was easy. Training to be your warrior, preparing for the battle of life. Your spirit, my armor, protecting me from the enemy. I choose the light. Save me. My my soul is waiting.
I'm live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jury Room. We're so excited to have Ray today.
Yeah,
oh my
actually,
goodness. This is exciting. Anyways, today I know you guys saw, the timer countdown at the beginning, and I do want to take this as an opportunity to, you don't want this woman to die in vain, and you want to spread the word to do good for her death. And for those of you who don't know, a couple days ago, a YouTube star with over 3 million subscribers took her own life after an online bullying campaign was perpetrated against her. She had autism, she had borderline personality disorder, and she suffered from depression. She was a mother to a little girl and a proud wife. And she started a fox rescue, the largest one in the United States, at the age of 20. And she took her life at 29. And her entire life was dedicated to helping, endangered species and giving them homes. And she was just shedding light. And it wasn't about fame to her. It wasn't about money to her. It was simply about spreading awareness and educating and helping these animals. And this shows you, and I before we get started today and check in with everybody, this shows you never know what people are dealing with behind closed doors. And I'll get into more of this later today, but I'll get into the laws too on this, because there's a lot going on, by the way, guys, with expanding or restricting immunity under 230 for this reason. Okay, but we'll get into that. Let's go ahead and we'll start with Lisa, Ray, and Rich. We'll just have everybody check in really fast. Let everybody know if anything new since last week has come up. So go ahead, Lisa.
Hey, what's going on? Ray, I'm so glad to see you here. What's up?
I know, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, for those of you who don't know, there was like some kind of mass target on all of our channels. Well, I can't say all of them, but a few of them. Myself, Leslie, Richard, and Mike Volpe. And Leslie, you were shut down on one of your channels for 14 days. Yeah. I was shut down for 7, and Richard was deplatformed.
Forever. Forever and ever.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something that took place. So I've been over on Rumble. I was just reading a whole bunch of comments that somebody sent me. They were talking about, oh my God, they're shut down. Tully's is shut down for 14 days and they're getting them. That's what you get for talking back smack, And I'm like, oh, did you miss what you said? Talking back? So I'm like, do you realize that we are commenting and reacting to Hales and all these other freaking minions? Like, they don't realize that, like, we're following what they're saying. So they're actually starting it, meaning Hales, Megan, Tug. They're creating the bullshit and we're reacting to it. So it's like, if you want to come at anybody, then go at the people who are starting the bullshit,
Exactly.
So I'm just reading a bunch of these comments and I'm just laughing at what they say. Oh my God, Leslie, they literally think that Bruce has now hired you to do all the filings for everybody. And I'm like, and it's this girl, Carol Welch. This girl is a total like Nimrod. I mean, she's a total. I'm like the stuff. She's like worse than Megan with the speculative bullshit. Yeah. She's this woman's nuts. She's absolutely nuts. If I can go back to it, I'd read it. But she had like, oh wait, there it is. Okay, so here it is. I thought about something. Number one, this woman shouldn't think. BBB had that GoFundMe PayPal for Lynette's lawyer. Number two, where's her lawyer? 3, the fleas shut Lynette's mouth up when Lynette said, I have a voice. 4, Lipper, I guess that's you, has dug deep to write these filings. 5, I think.
I've dug deep to write these filings. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Guys, all I can say, I freaking love my app. I'm not going to tell you which app I use, okay? But I love this freaking app. Oh, and I'm only saying it because like they're accusing me of using ChatGPT, and it's not. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. But anyway, I love this. You can do any freaking app. It's awesome. So anyway, I think that BBB wanted to get the fluck out of Lynette's hair. So Bruce was in her hair? It's kind of weird. I don't know. I guess you have to know. And if you're in the no, that's kind of weird. Yeah. I think Lipper was paid by BBB to continue to file motions.
Well, you can keep thinking that. I wish, man. I'd love to have a little income source from this whole thing. But go ahead.
And then 7, I'm wondering if Lynette was threatened by the fleas, Lippers, and BBB. If you don't shut the fluck up, Lipper won't help you. It's just an opinion. Remember that. So what do you think? And I think you're a freaking moron is what I think.
Well, you just, Lisa, I just laugh at these people. They seriously, I'm like, these
stupidity.
People, it's just pure ignorance.
And then everybody's telling me that Shizzy Wisnuts is like on fire, like going off on everybody. Like,
oh, because his name is exposed. His legal name is exposed again.
I guess. I don't know what he thought. He thinks he's smart because his wife's an attorney. So it's like,
people have a lot more courage when they're hiding behind fake names. When their legal name comes out, let's see how he acts.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And to be honest with you, I mean, I looked her up, and she's a very credible lawyer. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. And I would think that it would come from everybody on the panel, but this is my opinion. Don't start attacking his wife. Okay? Don't anybody go and attack his wife because she has nothing to do with this. She appears to be a credible lawyer. I'm not doing no backgrounds or nothing on her or nothing like that. But she has nothing to do with it. In my opinion, she probably don't even know what her husband's saying.
Yeah.
In all the crap that he's doing.
Go ahead, Rich.
And the reason why I'm thinking that is because being that she is a lawyer, I think she would have stopped him from saying the crap he's saying, so he doesn't, he's not liable for the shit he does. But
Lisa, I
who knows?
disagree with you 100%. I think that you need to ask us to stop. And proving that you had him under control, then I think I will stop. But I'm not going to stop until she asks nicely.
Right.
And if she sends me a legal demand letter, that's not right. If she asks nicely, I'll do it. But if she sends a legal demand letter, I'm not going to react legally. If she plays in that ball court, I'll play in that ball court with her. If she wants to be, but the problem is that what he did to Leslie with that letter, right?
Yeah.
He crossed the line and he put his family into it because he knew that letter was going to become content, right? So he put his family into the content. When you inject your family into the content, you've opened the door. So he's going to learn a lesson that the door has been opened, like him trying to be a tough guy, trying to threaten Leslie, threaten Leslie's family, threaten other people. Well, now he's going to have to deal with the consequences. That's how this game is played. When you're the bully, you have to punch the bully in the nose. Me and Ray talked about this before. The biggest thing
I agree.
You punch that bully right in the nose, and they stop being a bully. But if Allie or whatever his name is, Ms. Jet wants to make a nice little, send me a note or send anybody a note saying, we had nothing to do with this, or I had nothing to do with this, and we're not involved. What my husband did was not very smart. Please just keep us out of this. I would respect that if she were to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Well,
Short of that, she's fair game because Shizzy made her fair game, and Shizzy's acting like a bully.
Can I say something else too? Being that his wife has a legal background, she's a practicing attorney. He's got even more resources to verify that.
About her. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Is that
I'll
her?
make it much more clear for everybody. If everybody wants to see what was really more clear.
Oh my God, that's his.
I'll make it even more clear. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my girl from the conjugals. They like to put my picture of me up and stuff. I thought I'd give.
Rich, I didn't even realize that was what was behind you. I just thought it was a girl.
I would give all the viewers, for Hales, for Lisa, for Leslie, for Ray, for everybody. I'll give them a glimpse into my life because the Hales people like to put me in federal prison outfit out there. So this was my life in federal prison with my conjugal visits. And I'll let you dream about who that fine young lady is. And if she were to send an email and ask me nicely to stop, I'll probably stop. If she's going to send me a legal letter, then we'll play that arena if she wants to, because she knows that this is all protected by free speech. Okay, she is out there. Her husband put her out there. She's already out there as an attorney at law. And, if she's going to be putting herself out there and her husband's going to be injecting her into millions of viewers, because the Hales ecosystem and echo chamber and then everybody else's, we're talking over millions of viewers. And he knew what he was doing right away. He's not a naive Pollyanna. He's a media guy. So they're going to make your family part of your content creation. Then they're there for all purposes. Once you and Leslie, you could back me up this. Once you open the door is wide open. If she wants the door shut, she can ask nicely, and that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
We'll get
by the way, I had no idea that's who was behind you.
Rich has attacked Shizzy's wife by posting her receipt behind him and a video of them kissing. Sick fuck. I haven't attacked anybody. I am making satirical media. That is what I'm doing. Jeremy Hales does it all the time. Tug does it all.
DJ Radis does it. Tug, Megan, they all do it.
And I'm still trying to determine whether or not
can I say this?
Or estate plan.
Can I say this? Here's the difference. Here's the difference between, for the person that addressed Rich. Okay, first of all, there's no name on this.
Leslie Super Dave's here.
Dave's here. There's no name. Okay, and on top of it, you can't see her face. It's a side profile. But let me encourage everybody. If you see what DJ Radis does, he uses people's legal names. He uses their actual, face and their actual voice through AI generation. And he creates these interviews that are highly harassing and insulting. And to somebody who didn't know, they might believe these interviews are real. There's a big difference. I can look at this picture. I have no idea who this girl is. I don't even see the front of her face. I don't see her name on this.
I just want to say that's not the reason why I even mentioned Shizzy's wife. I didn't realize. I thought that was just some girl in the background. I had no idea what the reference was until this picture really.
Wait, Shizzy's wife is involved in everything now? What have I missed? What's going on?
What's
up, Dave?
Look behind me.
Oh, come on.
In the immortal words of Ric Flair, she was mine before she was yours. Woo! Woo! Woo!
I hear that her name came
Let's quickly check in, and then we'll go back to this discussion. I just want to check in quickly with everybody, if anything happened since last week. So we'll go to Bray, then Rich, then Supa. Just a quick check-in, and then we'll go back to this discussion. Anything, Ray, since last week that has transpired in the world
I got served finally last Friday. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Join the party, Ray!
Yeah. I got the latest and greatest of any of the amendments that were due in there. So I spent part of the time going over it. The only thing I posted this week was I happened to run across a video where a guy got screwed by the people he was doing business with. So I posted something about that. But on the case itself, I haven't done too much. I've kept quiet till I knew what I was talking about. The one thing I noticed over the weekend, though, that kind of upset me was there was a article from Vet Nation, I believe it is.
Oh my
He
God.
put a show up about Harley, and they
Is
keep
that not
talking.
a sick person? That
I
guy
mean,
is
it's twisted.
sick.
That's as bad as it gets. I was going to put something up on there, but I knew better than to do too much because I was too upset with him. When I had switched over to Michelle and John's side completely, had to do with they had switched all their attention over to Harley, and that was a little over a year ago, using that as the main focal point for their show or for their videos. And I'm talking about Jeremy Hales.
Uh,
And now we've got this guy, Vet Nation. Something is wrong with the guy, and I realize that he's on. I don't know. Apparently, he couldn't make it in the military. Whatever happened, and he's got some kind of a mental issues that he keeps bragging about. But that doesn't give him permission to go out there and pick on a 5-year-old child.
right.
And he uses a dog there and talks behind it as if the child can't talk. He has no idea, apparently, that the girl has good diction and probably is quite a bit smarter than him, at least in IQ-wise, much more advanced than he'll ever be. And it shows because of the way he acts like it's worse than a child. He's like a 2-year-old out there.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with him. And when you look in his eyes, you can see it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And I guess it's one of the reasons that I want to see Harley and John and Michelle come out of this thing a lot better than what's happened up to date. And hoping that everything comes out. But one of the things, too, caught me by surprise. I looked for your show Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
You were not there.
And Monday.
So, me.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking, so finally I figured it out what had happened. And I went back and looked at the show on, I picked it up. I don't belong to Rumble, but
Right.
I was, I can observe it, obviously. I just can't participate unless I join. I still haven't went over the legalities of getting involved in it. Man, they want your soul before you can join and be a creator on there. And I'm just
I don't
looking
even
over.
remember signing up, to be honest with you. I've had it for so long.
Well, there's about 45 minutes of just reading on there before anything else. And
Ray's all about terms of service now.
Right.
And I'm going to talk. I found some great law and articles, law reviews, and everything on this whole issue with private social media platforms like YouTube and Rumble and everything. So I'm going to go through that with you guys today because I was actually considering, with this Legally Leslie site, I did want to make it more. Now, obviously, jury room's different, but I wanted to make it more legally based. And I think a great topic for me to start really speaking about is these private social media platforms, First Amendment rights, how it affects influencers, how it affects the public, and that sort of thing. But we'll get into that later. But go ahead, Ray, and then Rich, you can go after.
Well, one of them terms that kind of disturbed me, and I guess I don't understand it completely, but it gave them sole rights to what you were doing in the creation, that you couldn't share it with other venues except for YouTube. It just happened to be a little piece that I picked up in there. And I'm not so sure whether that's really legal or not, because if you're using more than one venue, whether it's TikTok or X or whatever you're doing, why should it give Rumble the sole right to that creation?
When you upload something, you have a choice to choose whether you want Rumble to have exclusive rights or anybody else. And when they explain it or give you an example, they say, for instance, YouTube. You know what I mean? And they ask you, do you have it, set up with anybody else? So they do that for every upload.
Can I say something interesting in the case law, right? That where it stands today. There's a lot going on between the Republicans and the Democrats as far as the expansion or broadening of immunity under 230 or restrictions under 230, and each side has their argument. But one of the things that they, really emphasized in the case law dealing with immunity for 230, they said that these social media platforms, because if they're only hosting, right, if they're only just a hosting site, they have no liability for what a content creator should post. But it brings an interesting question, as if they're asking to take exclusive rights of your content, I think that steps a little bit farther now than just being a hosting. They're asking almost for ownership in a sense, which means indirectly they're kind of endorsing it. And there's something that could be, I don't know, I think there could be an argument made there, but one of their biggest things, like they found, for instance, when TikTok, somebody, an influencer sued TikTok because they silenced them and shut them down. And what happened was, how on the For You TikTok, because their kid died over this whatever, and then they sued TikTok. And what happened was they found that because TikTok has a suggested For You thread where it basically tailors videos to target a certain viewer, that actually engaged TikTok beyond just being a hosting forum. They actually took a step further. And when you take a step further like that, you no longer have immunity. You know what I'm saying? So
that's interesting.
It's very, and we'll go over some of this because I think you guys will find this insightful and very educating, but I want everybody just to check in, and then we can bring up all these issues and have a discussion on them. Rich, anything new for you, or?
Oh, well, it's plenty new for me. I got a new hoe. Woo! Hey now. So, I had to say that what I had to say about my day. They want to put out the paint chips picture, and they want to put out the paint chip video. We'll talk about the pictures first, about me in person. I have no problem with that. I actually had a great time with Jeff. It was a lot of fun. If you like to,
You don't hear that often.
If you like to watch movies every Wednesday night, they had a movie night. They put a big screen up, and you got to watch an American classic. And if you like pasta, macaroni, every Thursday was pasta night. So you have pasta, you eat all you wanted. So Thursday
You can work out.
And if you like anal sex, well, then you go Friday nights. Friday nights is great, but I didn't like anal sex. So
my God, I can't. I do have a question. Rich,
yeah.
When you were in there, were you like kind of sectioned off in your own little area, like with all the big pots of sauce brewing and big ass steaks being cooked with a whole bunch of peeps?
It depends on where you are. When I was in New York, I was in Brooklyn, MDC. That's where Diddy is. That's like the worst jail in America. It's the worst place that there is. They got you in cells. They lock you in at night at 9:30. You don't let you out till 6 in the morning, and then they put you in during the day for 3 different times. And it's run like a maximum security prison. You don't do shit. It's the worst type of thing that there is. I was in Allenwood, in the low in Allenwood. That was not so bad, but I was there during COVID, so it was pretty bad because they lock you in your unit. So usually when you have a compound, you get to go through this, like some movement, you get to do things. But I didn't get to do anything when I was there. I was there in the worst time in history for being anywhere in an American prison during COVID. They didn't know what they were doing. But I didn't get to go to a camp because they put the Moloch on me, and I didn't want to even get into that. But most of the people go to camps. Like Robbie went to a camp. I wasn't in a camp. Camp is like even easier. That's like there's no real. You could walk away from a camp. Put it that way. You could just walk to the street, get in a car, and go places. They catch people in camps all the time, going to the motel down the block and having parties with like hookers and booths. This is like something that happens on a regular basis in the prison. They catch you, they send you back up to a higher level security. So I met a lot of guys in the lows, but it wasn't like Goodfellas, where I was.
That's what I was asking. Like, were you in your own little unit? Like, did you have your own your couches around, your stove, your kitchen, big ass pot
special treatment
and stuff?
Yeah, you can get that to a certain extent, but the Fed, you don't get it as much. You can get it in the camps, but not where I was. In the lows and above, you can't do that. But it wasn't like that. But then again, I got my picture here.
Bring it in the contraband.
They have a conjugal in New York State. They got the conjugal shed. Other places they got conjugal shed. So you get your family member to come for the weekend. Actually, if you can bring family members, they even bring kids too in some places. Where you get a day or two where you go to the shed and you bump uglies and you do what you got to do. You
Bump uglies.
But that's that. So now, if I think that this serves an educational purpose, my picture right here and all the videos I've been making talk about how prisoners, the conditions of prisoners. So if anybody says I'm attacking somebody, the educational purpose, Richard Luthmann is giving people an educational purpose about prison life. And in some places there are conjugal visits, and other places there aren't. And sometimes those conjugal visits get nasty. Really, really nasty.
Here's another thing, Rich. Here's another thing too you got to think about. Something that social media platforms can be held liable is discrimination under inconsistent application of censoring. And if you say we're to get taken down or something happened because of a picture like this, and here we are reporting about DJ Radis's, extreme use of our, image in a very deceitful, dishonest, and harassing way.
And the effect it has.
Yeah,
the effect it has on me, at least mentally. I can't speak for anybody else.
Well, I'll tell you.
You can
right
speak
now.
for me on that. That's crazy. He's doxed my address. He's made songs about my address.
Well,
he had me admit to crimes.
It shows that there's an inconsistent application, which is discriminatory. Because if we're getting for instance, I'm suspended for 14 days over the Darkness Underground video, which is really a depiction of spiritual warfare on this earth between good and evil, if you really want to know what it means. And there was, nobody's names used. It was, it was like a short little thing showing good versus evil, and I get shut down. For 14
that's exactly
days.
what mine was. The Deliverance video, the dueling banjos, no lyrics, no names being called, nothing. It was just good versus evil.
I'll tell you right now, the reason I've been researching this whole setup, trust me, I now that I'm involved, I'm a research junkie. I've researched what's happened, is that what's flagging us and taking us down once things are getting reported is the AI bot system. Because they're saying, the increase in the amount of people now viewing social media and being content creators have substantially increased. So it's impossible to have humans vetting their content, to flag things. So they've changed over to an AI bot system. And people are successfully suing forums like YouTube, Google LLC, the parenting company, off of product liability claims, saying that their AI bot system is a product and it's faulted, right? So they're kind of able to scoot around this 230 immunity on product liability claims. But either way, once you get to a human being, and this is what I'm telling all the influencers, because there's an attorney out there on a channel, and she represents people who've been deleted. Their channel gets permanently deleted overnight, and she's gotten their channels back up. But what happens is you can't settle for the AI bot vetting. You can't
hold on. We got news. Okay. So I'm looking at 7-1 actual requirement magistrate. Okay. It looks like it was a possibility because the motion to vacate the 1, 2, 3 for the judge in the federal 1 case, where Bruce filed that motion 1, 2, 3 to vacate him. It looks like there's a possibility that Belitha withheld it from the district judge until.
No, Lisa, it's even bigger than that.
What?
Motion no longer referred to Magistrate Judge Zachary C. Belitha.
They took him off.
Oh, they took him off.
He's out.
Nice.
Get out, bro.
Very good.
Out of here.
So he's off
Hold
the
on.
He's off the case.
Wow. I need. Hold on. Wow.
Maybe things will start going a little different now, hopefully.
Wow.
I still would like to read that if somebody could send me that order.
Okay.
I don't have pacers,
so the text order, it's all it says. It says motions now are no longer referred to the Belitha. So what they could do is they could refer it to the district judge, it looks like at this point, the Article 3 judge that's been confirmed by Congress and appointed by the president. Or they could probably refer it to another magistrate, but they just took it out of Belitha's hands, it looks like. And it makes sense. The guy's in Pensacola. This is a Gainesville case. So you might want to have it down there.
Wow.
That's good news. Very good news.
Bruce says that refers only to 161.
It refers only to 161?
Yeah, that's what Bruce is saying in here.
Motion is no longer referred to magistrate 161 motion request for status. Action required by District Judge Chambers of Chief Judge Alan Windsor notified that action is needed regarding 161 motion. Request for status regarding 123 motion. Okay, so
he's not off yet. It's
he's not. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that was clarified because we don't want.
Well,
to
it seems as though. Hold on.
So
John filed something in regards to this, and in regards to the motion to vacate. Basically, I guess where is it? You know what I mean? What happened to it? Does this mean that? Wait, what's the? I'm just rereading. Sometimes you have to figure it out.
This is what happens when you're live.
Yeah, right. So, what about any more motions that are filed in the case?
It says until 123 is ruled on, he is still on the case.
Here's what Bruce says. I highlighted his comment from the thread so everybody can see it.
They only took 161 out of his hands. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is 161
Still.
again?
161 is, let me pull it up. It's gonna take a minute. It's already filed. Where is it? Sorry.
Pretty
That's
long.
okay. Well, while we're looking for that,
Real
Super,
time.
do you have anything you want to add since last week? Like any quick update? On
Yeah, actually. First of all, still not served. I haven't been served. And I wrote something that, everybody's been talking and doing research, and I've been getting some emails, and Richard said something really interesting. He said, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I have to say, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's definitely a defamation suit.
No doubt, yeah.
I would definitely encourage people to check out, what is the case law? The case law is like Bongino versus Daily Beast.
Daily Beast.
Yeah.
That's a very important case, Dave. Did you do a write-up on it?
I did a little bit of it. I did some research on it, and I found it fascinating that is exactly what, in my opinion, is going on in this case right now.
That's right.
I believe that Shockett and Hales could not make this a defamation suit, even though in their first complaint, it was labeled as a defamation suit.
Yeah.
That's right.
The core complaint was due to defamation, he has had damage done to him. But now because they can't prove malice, there's just so many constitutional hurdles in the way here for defamation. They're trying to quick spin it into all this Lanham Act nonsense. And there's already been cases that have set this out, that once it's been proven, it started out as a defamation case. You cannot cover it up with this. You can't do this. So this should be dismissed on this case law alone. I did a write-up on it.
Well, it's funny because I answered the original complaint, as everybody freaking knows, okay? So I answered the original complaint, but when you go to the amended complaint, I'm like, this is all based on the defamation from before. This is still a defamation case.
At its core.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, well, should I even bother to do a motion to amend, basically? Because, it's there. I answered the defamation.
You never even were served with the new complaint.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something in Florida, and it's in other states too, like New York and other places. It's called the single publication rule. And what that rule is it relates to defamation cases. And it basically says you cannot take a defamation case about speech that you believe is harmful and false and turn it into another cause of action. You can't say that speech is tortious interference with your business.
True.
You cannot say that speech is a conspiracy to do this, that, and the other thing to somebody. If it's speech, it's speech, okay? And so that's what the single publication rule is. And what Super Dave just talked about was this case by Dan Bongino, the assistant FBI director. Before he was assistant FBI director, he was a media personality that talked all about what was going on, conservative media person. And the Daily Beast and him got into a tiff. The Daily Beast said a bunch of shit about him. He said a bunch of shit about them. So Dan Bongino says, screw you, I'm going to sue you. And what did Dan Bongino sue for? He sued for defamation, and then he sued for the Lanham Act violations, and then he sued under the Florida the Deceptive Trade Practices Act. The same causes of action we have here, because Dan Bongino lives in the state of Florida. So it's a Florida case. It's an 11th Circuit case, okay, because the Daily Beast is not a Florida person, and Dan Bongino was. It's squarely applicable to the case in the Gainesville Federal Court. And
Absolutely.
what it said was the two ancillary claims that were made by Bongino, the Langham Act, which is the federal trade commercial trade libel type thing, and then the Florida deceptive practices, right? Those two things are out. The court threw them out. They said, you're talking about speech. And like I said, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. So get rid of those other two claims. We'll deal with the defamation. And then Bongino, being a public figure, was such a high level for the defamation, the case was over. No. We have the same thing with Jeremy Hales. That case, I think, is the only case that needs to be argued in front of these judges because it's squarely the type of case we have. We have a public figure in the name of Jeremy Hales trying to sue other people who are in media that are saying things. They're both saying things back and forth. It's he said, she said. And the fact is he's trying to make defamation or speech-based claims into things that are not speech-based claims. Even put elephant shoe in. Okay, elephant shoe might be the stupidest thing that he ever did because as opposed to getting this thing dismissed right away on the speech complaints and everything else, because Jerry Hales might get dismissed on the speech.
Oh, oops.
He put elephant shoe in. Now we get the tax returns for elephant shoe. And by ancillarily, we might be able to get the tax returns to Jeremy on top of that. Even if the speech claims are out.
Sorry, Leslie.
Oh, that's okay.
He's got a hope, I think, Jeremy, at this point, that this case gets dismissed.
So you guys, Rich just said this is out of Westlaw, which is a legal search engine that lawyers use, but it has it right here that in case I always like you guys to see where sources come from and whatnot. But it says a single publication gives rise to a single cause of action, and a single publication rule does not permit multiple actions when they arise from the same publication upon which the failed defamation claim is based.
Yeah.
All right, so I got 160. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, this is just enough. You guys can read this, but go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so Doc 161, let me share it quickly just so y'all can see. All right, so this is John's filing, which was a request for status motion for Doc 123. When can we look forward to hearing an answer on this motion as it's been sitting for approximately 3 months now? Okay, so this was John's filing of Doc 161. So if we go back and look at these four docket entries, it says action required by magistrate judge, Chamber of Magistrate Judge Zachary C. Belitho notified that action is needed for 161 motion, which is John's motion. Request for status regarding 123 motion to vacate 32 order referring case to magistrate judge, right? So that originally was given to Belitho. And then it comes action no longer required by magistrate judge, Chamber of Magistrate Judge Zachary C. Belitho notified that action is no longer needed regarding 161. Okay. Request for 123 motion to vacate. And then it says motions no longer referred to magistrate judge Zachary Belitho. 161 motion request for status. It says referred in error. And then action required by district judge, Chamber of Chief Judge Alan C. Windsor, notified that action is needed. Okay, so when it says motions no longer referred to Zachary Belitho, would that mean that any upcoming motions? Or because to me, it's why would they use it plural?
It looks like
say that again, Rich.
It looks like they took this stuff out of his hands. Right?
Yeah, it does.
It looks like
and it says referred in error.
When it means motions, and I'll defer to Bruce and Leslie in the sense that a lot of times the magistrate judge cannot rule on dispositive motions absent consent of the party. So a motion to dismiss given to a magistrate judge may be something that's referred in error, like as a matter of law under the congressional statutes. The federal rules of civil procedure are enacted by Congress, right? And they say that the magistrate judges can only do, I think Rule 72 is magistrate judges, that's objection, but you can only get into that as long as in a dispositive motion, and I think 11th Circuit says it too, if you have consent. So I don't think a magistrate judge can rule on the motion to dismiss. I think that it has to be the district judge that does.
Wow, that's interesting.
Wow,
that's definitely interesting.
If you look at the law, and I'll try to find it because I've talked about it before, but the 11th Circuit says that it's about consent. The Supreme Court heard the case on a very narrow issue and said there could be in cases of implied consent, but generally when you have a dispositive issue on the case or you have the trial itself, it has to be heard by a Article 3 district court judge absent consent by the parties. So that's the big thing. And a lot of that goes to the Constitution. The judges are Article 3 judges. Those are empowered constitutional level office. They have the same, like the Constitution, empowers congressmen and senators, the president, cabinet posts. It also empowers the federal judiciary that have been appointed and confirmed. But it doesn't empower the magistrate judges. Magistrate judges are creatures of congressional action. They're creatures of federal law, but they're not congressional level officers. So that's the big difference. You have a right to have a congressional level officer, for the dispositive parts of your case. That's what it says,
Yeah, but it definitely is confusing because it has the motions and whatever. To me, that sounds like further motions are not going to be given to Bolitho. It's going to go directly to the judge. But what's good about it is the motion to vacate is there and going to the district judge. And that pretty much tells the whole, almost, I want to say the whole story. It's pretty much a summary judgment.
Right? Lisa, 1, 2, 3, that's what Bruce is saying. We can set full jurisdiction, including trial, unless 1, 2, 3 is granted. Yeah. So okay. So that's it. Bolitho can't make the decision on whether or not he can rule. That has to go to the.
Yeah, but it should have been forwarded over to the district judge months ago.
Yeah,
that was filed before Bruce was discharged.
So they messed up. They messed up big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the district judge turns around and says this case is dismissed.
That's what they like to do. They just did that in the case with Dinesh down in Fort Myers, the one I've been covering. They dismissed his second amended complaint. They gave him a chance to refile an amended complaint after it, but that's what these judges love to do. They love to, especially a defamation case, like he said, she said, a few times. They love to dismiss it. They don't want to have a drawn out, courtroom case for 3 weeks because of some, he said, she said. That's the last thing that they want. And defamation is hard to prove anyway, unless you got them dead to rights. I got a case dead to rights in Florida. Defamation. But unless you have a dead to rights, it's a hard case to prove. Like Jeremy's got a very hard case to prove. I don't think he gets past the bleeding phase. He hasn't, said what's defamatory yet. Let's treat this what it is. It's a defamation case. What did we say about him that's so bad and so outrageous? Right? What did we say? We didn't say anything that's so bad or so outrageous for a public figure. The level that you're saying is just, it is what it is.
And the fact that I think he's going to have some concerns with the fact that as commentators, just because I'm monetized, that does not make my channel a commercial entity. As my speech is not selling an object, or I think there's an argument that could be had in all of that, as well as I was trying to do some research with AI about that. Like, how does that, like, just because I'm monetized, does that make me a commercial entity? And not necessarily. I think there's factors that judges have to weigh on all that. That really, I'm trying to find where I was discussing this with, me and AI are becoming good friends. And I think there's some issues that are going to be had with all of that, just because I focus in commentary, and I don't think I'm a competitor of his by any way. I make maybe $20 a month on merchandise, less, $100-ish a month on memberships. I have no problem saying this, because it just goes to speak to the fact that I'm not a competitor of somebody who makes tens, 20s, thousands, dollars a month. So I think there's going to be a lot to be had with that.
Let me interject and say, you got to go to the complaint at this stage. And in the complaint, you got to look at what he's alleging to have been damaged. Like, where's his loss of profit coming from? Because you have to be able to say that the actions of the defendants was the direct causation of this damage. Now, here's what he says in paragraph number 2 of his complaint. He says he's lost advertising revenue through YPP, right? And then he's lost subscriptions to his private, videos that are not open to the public. Okay. first of all, to prove that he lost, as you guys know, as creators, and if you're, if you're getting funds through AdSense and YPP, you'd have to have a substantial decrease in the views of your videos. Okay, substantial. And when I say it can't be like 5 or 10, you're talking like thousands of people consistently are no longer watching your videos. In order to prove that, you can't prove that by affidavit in a trial. You have to bring in 10,000 witnesses, which is impossible. To say that they stopped consistently watching Hales's videos due to the actions of the defendants. That's impossible to show that, because you're talking about something that's derived on video views on public viewable videos. Then the second portion of that is his subscription fan base, right? That he's lost subscription fan base. And again, this is what he's claiming his loss is. If you want to call it a product or a service, which I would argue it's neither, because you have to have a product or service for the claims, to find liability under these claims. But I would say they're not a product or service, but say that the court found them to be a product or service. They're not even comparable, because this is unique content that is private home videos of him. You have no competing content directly competing with, because you couldn't. It's his private home videos that he's opening up for a subscription fee. But I would also go to the extent of arguing that you guys talking about him on your channels, whether good or bad, could actually lead to an increase of people buying subscriptions to find out more about this clown. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those are what he's claiming the damages. When my husband and I read this, we said he's never going to prove damages. That's the weakest link in his entire complaint, is he can't prove damages. Then let's take it a step further in the analysis. Then you go to what he's alleging you guys did. Okay, well, at least Lisa primarily. Lisa and Rich and Bruce and Michelle have independent claims beyond conspiracy. Everybody else has conspiracy, which means until they can prove the claims that are torts, they can't even go to the analysis of conspiracy. So all those people are off the hook if they can't prove the original torts against Lisa and whatnot. Okay, but the whole point is you got to look at the actions that they're claiming. They're claiming that Lisa's, making derogatory or insulting or misleading comments about his conduct, not his product, his conduct as a person. Okay, so it would be one thing, like we talked about this last night on Lisa's live. She would have to almost say, right, and I wouldn't even buy that this would even stand. She would almost have to directly attack his videos as being AI generated, fake, as the man isn't even living in the United States, often in another country, just totally lying. Do you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, because it's matters of public concern.
Yeah, her attacking his conduct. His conduct is not what he's claiming he's making money from. She's attacking his conduct, not his product. Okay, so that's one aspect that I thought was a good thing to look at for an argument. And then, like I said, there's nothing she's doing in direct competition.
That's a great point, Lisa, because it's like Elon Musk. It's the difference between Tesla and Elon Musk, right? People stopped buying Teslas for a while because of Elon Musk was too close to Trump. And so there was a whole bunch of attacks on the Tesla dealerships. There were people that were boycotting Teslas, returning Teslas. He's equating his product with himself. It's a totally different thing. I think that's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Elon Musk versus a Tesla. You're 100% right.
You got to go to paragraph 2 before you even get into analysis. You got to call out what he's saying was done, right? And then you got to link causation to the actions. But something else I saw that I thought that was kind of interesting, and I know this might be redundant to what we talked about in Lisa's live last night. He claims he was losing profit in 2023.
Yeah, I caught that.
Lisa's actions that he alleges don't even start till 2024. And he's claiming she's the ringleader that started all this. How do you prove causation when the damage had started a year prior? You have to prove that Lisa's actions directly caused this damage, but you just say in your complaint that the damage started a year before. So obviously it wasn't Lisa who started it, because her actions are alleged to be in 2024.
Can the courts compare his first complaint to his second amended complaint? Because at first it was Bruce's. It's like he just doesn't know which end is up here with this. First, it's Bruce's.
I don't think you're gonna have you can't argue that for a motion to dismiss. That would be more a credibility thing. That's
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like, it just shows that he's doing this for content. It speaks to the credibility.
Oh, Dave, I have so much
proof.
I have so much proof that he has said that this is Bruce's what the hell ecosystem. Okay. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the day he files an amended complaint, it was Weeks' scheme.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think pointing out the fact that the performative nature is key, because that just shows that the courts are being used and spun and took on a content journey, much like we all are as defendants in all this.
Yeah,
we are all being spun and turned into characters for profit and gain, when all I wanted to do was originally cover a public figure and, you know, do one video, maybe two videos, and be done with it. But somehow I got spun into all this, and hey, it is what it is. But I feel like we got to show the performative nature of this content creator and this litigation.
Can I bring up a ludicrous paragraph in this complaint? And you guys are going to laugh when you see this. Okay, first of all, this goes ahead and evidences what I just said, that he says, look, revenue is a result of lost profits since the fall of 2023 due to the defendants. But the defendants' actions don't start till 2024. But anyways.
I don't know who this guy is till 2025. Are you kidding me? My thing with Bruce, my interview with Bruce and Mike Volpe was in January, I think. Right, Bruce? It's out of control. Out of control.
Well, if you listen to his depo, right? You listen to the depo. Now, the depo was for the Federal 1 case, okay? And everything he's trying to say against me or us in general, he accuses just John and Michelle of. And that was filed in March of 24.
But look at this.
Now he's like, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so look at this. Okay, he's claiming that, you know, he's losing profits, and in the same paragraph, I mean, this is totally a red herring. This has nothing to do with what he's saying. He's claiming he's losing profit, and then all of a sudden, the next sentence, look, Hales now has 2 Airbnb beachfront condominiums.
Yeah, what the hell?
What you're showing that you actually are doing well financially. You just bought pieces of property
in Florida, in Cedar Key, on the beach. It's not
no, but it's like this is like idiotic to me. I'm like, when you look at this logically, like if you're doing so bad.
I think what he was trying to do is he probably put it in there so that he could explain away a reason why he has this. Yeah. You know, because he knows it's going to come up, right? Yeah. So he was put it in there and then somehow forgot to go and adjust it.
Well, and then here's the evidence just so you guys can see straight from the complaint. After resigning, Hales is moderator. So obviously, all the actions he's alleging you're doing are since June 2024.
Right.
Well, how in the world did you start lost in 2023? Right. I mean, here's the way I look at it.
Oh, good eye.
I read these things, you know, just trying to look at them common sense. But here's the thing. This is how it reads to me. This is how I see this case. I see this as this big online bully who went after Michelle for content. Okay. Michelle and John for content. And then we got Bruce that comes in that, you know, goes pro bono, donates his time to help her. Then he goes after Bruce. And then you've got social media influencers who want to report on this as commentators reporting on what's going on. And they don't take the position of supporting Hales. They actually see what Hales is doing to all these other people. So they report on it. Then Hales wants to silence them, then go after them. And then I come into the picture trying to, you know, help the commentators out, you know what I mean, and the influencers. And now they're attacking me. Like, you can't just control every derivative person. I mean, like, it's crazy to me. That's how I look at this case. Yeah. He's trying to silence because he's a control freak.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not. He's put an injunction against me on 3 different counts. He's going to be quite surprised. I have a feeling he's going to have a very, very rough weekend.
I think this needs to go back to Shock It, because, you know, I say it again, Shock It, and it was just brought up in the chat. Shock It said he would not be doing this with the pro se litigants, and he's playing the same games. He's playing the same games with the pro se litigants that he did with Bruce, and it's going to turn into a whole big shit show, in my opinion. And of course,
Dave, I was called a dolphin in the filing. He called me a dolphin.
It's so ridiculous.
But he's supposed to be treated with respect.
Pretty hilarious, though. Come on, that was pretty.
A dolphin.
It is, but I mean, it's like there's no way that's a typo. There's no way that's like an auto, you know, correct thing.
But the clown wasn't a typo.
Right. You know, and so I'm like, now I'm a dolphin. So a flea, a walrus, a dolphin. Okay, fine, great. You know,
well, I'd take being a dolphin. I mean,
that's what I said too. I was like, I'd rather be a dolphin than a walrus anyway. But you know, the thing is, he did it. You know, and he did it like in the middle of something, thinking it won't be caught. You know what I mean? Just to throw that in there as a little dig. I obviously think
And
that.
let's talk about the default
Hey, listen,
against.
listen. I'll tell you what. I think I know what happened on that dolphin deal. They're using AI a little bit in the background. AI is smarter than AR, knows that walrus is more of a derogatory term. So everybody likes dolphin. So it just automatically made it nice.
That's quite
possible. Yeah,
possible.
I think everybody's using AI at this point because nobody's the smartest person in the world. And
I check everything that AI says.
you have to,
You know,
especially
you
when
have to.
illegal.
AI is retarded. Come on.
Yeah.
It's great for reference in the sense that
Yes.
as opposed to going to Google, you want to run into AI and say, send me a formatted, like yesterday, you guys were reading the attorney oath, right? And I pulled that up before. I'm like, give me the attorney oath for the state of Florida. And I was looking at that, and it's like, it's easiest to do through AI. You know, it just saves you two or three steps clicking through if you were to go to Google. It would be available, but you'd have everything right in front of you. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Yep.
And actually, we should put that up because I think the people here would be very good to see that attorney oath. Because when we're talking about what Chocolate's been doing, I think the best way to talk about it is reference. I have it on my screen. I'll share it.
Oh, okay. I was going to go look for it.
I have it here. Let me share that.
Yeah, that default motion was ridiculous. I thought the it was just so Jeremy could make his video, in my opinion. I felt like that default motion was just put in so Jeremy could make his
Shaka knew that
Sunday
there's
video.
no way that Michelle's going to ignore this, you know, or that anybody would let her ignore it. You know what I mean? Like that no one's going to step up and say, hey, your reminder, you need to do that. You know what I mean? He knows that. And he knows that she does her filings by mail. So the second that one day went by, he immediately, and this is the second time he's done that with default.
It's game playing. Yeah. And it just needs to be called out, guys. I feel
he's paper the court.
Yeah, has to call this out. It's not going to be corrected. It's not going to be corrected or remedied until it gets called out and until proper complaints are filed with the authorities, whether it's the board, the Florida Board of the bar examiners.
Put up the oath, Leslie.
Yeah.
What?
Put up the oath. I got it in there. I got the oath.
Oh, you do? Okay. Did you send it? Where did you send it?
It's on my screen. Click that screen I just shared.
Oh, hold on. I don't know if okay, let me see. Click the screen, you said?
It's the screen. You can make my screen.
Oh, this right here, like that?
Yeah, now put the other screen on, the second one that I have. It's in the other one.
I don't see where it's at.
Oh, she can't see your other screen. I don't see it
your
either.
Other screen. Yeah.
Oh, you can't see it?
No.
How do I do that? I got to switch to it?
If you have a link, you can send it to put it in the private chat, and I'll pull it up and share it.
I got to grab it from Google.
Okay. And I also want to say, guys, and I'm just going to show you, because this is something, while we're waiting on Rich to do that, I want to share something with you, something else that stands out. In his complaint, again, all I'm doing is pulling his complaint.
I got it pulled up here.
Okay, I'll just say this really fast and we'll go to that. But this is where he alleges that Lisa deceived and frauded people. So everybody understands, this is like law school 101. For you to allege fraud, you have to allege what, when, where, how, very specific, and he doesn't do that. But that's my point in that. I just wanted to tell you that. Okay,
nor for conspiracy does he show anything, any solid, any agreement. And that's like the one main thing you have to do to prove a conspiracy is an agreement. And none of us are in agreement because there is no
agreement. Yeah.
All right, let me get the oath of
But he's got to prove the first two torts first in order to even go to conspiracy.
Yeah, he has to.
There it is.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay.
So you see what that says, right? Who wants to read it? Somebody can start reading it.
Lisa's the good reader here.
Lisa, be the reader.
I am? Oh my God. I can't. It's like too small for me. I have the one that I got.
It's in front of me. I'll read it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It says, I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Florida. I will maintain the respect of the courts of justice and judicial officers.
Mark that one down.
I will not counsel or maintain any suit or proceeding which shall appear to me to be unjust, nor any defense except such as I believe to be honest, debatable under law of the land. I will employ for the purpose of maintaining the causes confided in me, such means only as are consistent with truth and honor, and will never seek to mislead the judge or jury by any artificial or false statement of fact, or law. I will maintain the confidence and preserve inviolate the secrets of my clients, and will accept no compensation in connection with their business from them or with their knowledge and approval. To opposing parties and their counsel, I pledge fairness, integrity, and civility, not only in court, but also in all written and oral communications. I will abstain.
I want to make that a sound thing. I want to press a button in here, Richard.
I will abstain from all offensive personality and advance no fact prejudicial to the honor or reputation of a party or witness unless required by the justice of the cause with which I am charged. I will never reject from any consideration personal to myself the cause of the defenseless or oppressed, or delay any cause for lucre or malice, so help me God.
So according to that,
Leslie, poor Leslie, it's so hard to read.
I know, that's why it was probably good I was reading. I have a loud voice. So, yeah.
According to that's so many. Everybody should be filing Florida bar complaints, in my opinion, based off that oath alone. I mean, I can think of Marla that applies to you, Lisa, so many people.
Well, there's and maybe we'll do it. Maybe next week
that dolphin thing, that dolphin comment is going to the bar.
Well, let me say this: we have in Florida, when I was a practicing lawyer, there are ethical rules on how you handle pro se litigants. You just because someone's pro se, you don't get to walk all over them. You owe them ethical conduct as defined under the ethical rules of the Florida ethical rules. So, to sit there and do what he did to you, tactically opportunizing on your good faith effort to comply with rule, 7.1 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, asking before you file whether he consents to your amendment. And then he turns around the following day and files a response to your original filing, knowing you're going to ask to amend it. He's toying with you. And then you're saying, I mean, he's not treating you in a just manner. He's toying and he's playing with you as in taking advantage of you.
He's irritated. Yeah. He has his own reason to be irritated with me. For one, I called him King Palomop and put a crown on his head.
But that's satire. That's.
I know. My God, look what Jeremy's done to Bruce, for God's sake.
I know. So I
understand. Wait a second. There was a portion that was added in there. I think it was recently in like 2020, 2012. You know better than me, Leslie. About civility towards other attorneys. Just for under that provision, what the action against Bruce alone, and how they treated Bruce in this case, knocks him out. But all the other stuff too, like the whole thing about, and you said it yesterday, last night, Leslie, is that kind of lawyers have to be above the fray, You kind of just get in there and rough and tumble and let it all hang out and do pigpen type style, roll for it all type. You kind of got to be a lawyer. You got to be, but he's not acting like one. I hate to say it, he's acting like his client. And the problem is, if you're starting to act like a client, that is a bad client. You have one or two choices. You can just distance yourself from the client. You can get rid of them. And the court would not ever have a problem with you saying to them, Judge, I don't like what they're doing. I don't like the fact that the client's being uncivil. I told him that he shouldn't be uncivil and blah, blah, blah. There's no reason.
Depo alone.
Right,
Depo alone should prove that.
I mean, there's
warning this guy yet. You give him 3 strikes, he's out. He's got 55 strikes. It's out of control. So that's or the choice is you get rid of him or you go down with him. And Shotgun has made the basically the decision. He's going to go down with Jeremy. He's going to go down with the rest. That's what he's done. So, and the problem is, what's he going to do? You can't continue to litigate your way out of this. That's the point. When he come back and saying crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier things, and I think Bruce did the right thing by leaving the case. In the sense that it became such a shit show with respect to him that it impugned the integrity of the profession, not by anything that Bruce did, but by the level of the attacks that a lawyer was receiving. And it's really more of an indictment on the bar associations and on the courts for not protecting a lawyer. If this were a civil type case where people were acting with professionalism that the Florida bar said that they should, Bruce would never have had to leave the case. This case would probably be resolved by him.
Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys a question, because I'm this is all the case law on attorney discipline, dealing with the oath and various ethical rules violations. It says, 3-year suspension is warranted to false representations to the tribunal. Something that stood out to me because it's inconsistent with what's been told to me, but it's easily found out through public record. in Shockett's complaint that he wrote, that he signed as an attorney, that he's representing to the court, he makes it appear as if Hales got a restraining order against Michelle first, and then Michelle retaliated by getting a restraining order against him.
No, not true.
But I've been told that it was actually the opposite. And this is something that, you know, as an attorney, you do have a duty to investigate before you go writing allegations. And if something's public record, and it could be an easy, let me look this up, look the cases up, he's actually misrepresenting to the court the whole situation with the restraining orders, the injunctions.
Yeah. Yes.
And as you see, it's 3-year suspension for an attorney who does that. I'm just trying to say,
well,
you know,
it's got to be brought up to the bar then. I mean, everything he's doing needs to be brought up to the bar.
I mean, that is not even, because what an attorney's defense is ultimately going to be is they're going to say, well, my client told me and I relied on them. I made a good faith, you know, relying on them. But this is a different nature. This isn't facts up to your client telling you. This is public records that you can go and you can look up cases, whether injunction cases in Florida and Ohio, it's open. You can look it up. You can look at the date. And you basically spun it to making it look like she's some crazy lunatic and he had to take measures when in fact it was the opposite. And the thing to me is a huge violation, a huge misrepresentation to the court.
See, I could see if you have a client that comes in, gets you to, you know, sign up and become his lawyer. And, you know, he's telling you this, he's telling you that, you're believing it, whatever, you know, that I could see that happening. But at this point in the game, there is no way that Shockett believes everything Jeremy's saying is true. There's no way. It's
a money game.
Well, you got to understand.
You got to understand that there's more leeway when you're defending somebody. They're the ones who brought the case. Shockett is representing it, and he brought the case. And his case is bullshit. You know, there's a you know, and the fact of the matter is, the big thing about a lawyer is about a fiduciary, right? And one of the big cores about a fiduciary is they're faithful to the court, faithful to the client, but they tell the truth, right? And they're honest in their dealings. You know, we have a lot of problems with this guy at being dishonest. There's a lot of problems with this guy and his dishonesty, starting with his, as Bruce has highlighted, his application to the Florida bar. What the hell happened up there in Missouri? It happened so bad that, and we'll get the full detail. It was so bad that Arkansas said, we're not letting you in.
Well, he was convicted.
I think you go fuller into the Missouri stuff and see that the full panoply of the Missouri stuff was disclosed to the Florida bar, you know, and that's the issue.
Well, I think that, like I said, along with the King Palomop thing that I did, with my opposition to amend to add Ray, I brought up and I filed the Arkansas versus Shockett thing. And I brought it up and put it into the case where it's not in there. And I don't think I'm not sure it was even in Federal 1. Well, it might have been in one of the exhibits. I'm not sure. Bruce would know more than I would. But I brought it into this case as well.
Here's something else. When you guys go, you know, crimes of dishonesty, like crimes of fraud, okay, which is what Shockett was convicted of. Those, you know, you can get him on the stand, right? And you're prohibited under certain, you know, length requirements, time periods of asking him about his past criminal background. But if it's a crime,
how do you get him on the stand though if he's the attorney for the plaintiff?
Hypothetical to really reiterate this point. If you're allowed, if it's a crime of dishonesty, those have the court wants to know. If it doesn't matter if that happened 10 years ago. Sometimes, you know, every state's going to be slightly different and the rules on that. But he was convicted of a crime of dishonesty. Everything he has done has been dishonest. And now, if what is being told to me and verified through public records about this narrative on who filed the restraining order first, which he clearly makes it sound like Jeremy did and Michelle retaliated in his complaint.
No.
That is dishonest misrepresentation to the court. And that is easily verifiable by checking public records, because you got to understand, you're going to have clients come in your office and the clients are going to tell you a story and, you know, you can't verify everything. So sometimes you do have to rely on what your client's saying, and that's okay. Attorneys have leeway to rely in good faith on things that their client comes and says that they might not be able to verify other than what their client's telling them. But when you have public records that you could easily go on,
there's even a video of him. There's even a video of him claiming that she filed for a restraining order against him, kind of with an attitude like, oh, now we'll play. She started this. So he went and tried to get one and couldn't, and then went to Ohio. There's a video of him saying,
well, Bruce is listening. Bruce, you need to make the Florida, if you haven't already, tell the Florida bar about that. Just take his amended complaint where he says that and pull up the public records of the timestamped, injunctions, and show that he's misleading the court. This is not something he couldn't verify, because in the state of Florida, you have a duty to investigate.
Now, here's my question. At what point does the dishonesty become, the dishonesty of Shockett in coordination with Jeremy Hales, become something that is called both the witness advocate rule, the advocate witness rule, and the crime fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege? So these are two very important points for this second litigation that we're all in. The first point is that if you are a witness to the activities, if you're a witness to what's going on, then you cannot be the lawyer at the same time. This is how the feds got Bruce Cutler out of the John Gotti case. They said that he was by the Ravenite, he was around things, he saw things, they wanted him as a witness. And Cutler in the last Gotti trial, the one they got him on with Sam Gravano, was Cutler wasn't there. He was excluded because he was on the witness list. Do we make Shockett a witness because of him being around all this stuff and knowing all this stuff, number one? Number two, if he's engaged as a co-conspirator, or if he's engaged in something that's called aiding and abetting or concerted action liability, they're doing things in concert. He's acting in concert with Jeremy to advance not only Jeremy's interest, but his own interest as well. Then he becomes a co-conspirator. And if there's dishonesty related to that, that becomes what's called the crime fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege. Now,
well, let me ask you this. That video that we have of Jeremy calling the cops to the schoolhouse when he's getting out of his car and he's on the phone with Shockett, fully knowing that there's an officer there that he's getting ready to lie to, okay, and tell that he has no idea why Michelle texted him, but she did contact him. When meanwhile, Jeremy and Shockett knew exactly where that text came from and why, and he lied to the officer to try and get the contempt. To me, that's Randy aiding and abetting his ass, because they both were sitting there at that depot.
That looks like
and Randy's the reason she sent the text. Sorry, Rich.
That looks like a fraud to me. But in order to get, it's a high standard crime fraud to get to it. So you got to be a little more than just a preponderance. You got to kind of be pretty clear with it. That's a pretty clear violation. We need a few others. I think that we have a situation here where, because this is Florida based, Florida has a criminal statute related to, and Leslie knows it, the same way that you do the 770 notices for defamation. There's a criminal libel statute. And so to the extent that we can identify statements that are knowingly false and recklessly made, maliciously made by Jeremy, and that Shockett is basically co-signing on, that potentially gets us to the crime fraud level too. That's I think that might be the strongest way to deal with things, because it looks like he has ethical issues.
We got plenty of that, I think.
Yes, I think that if we start doing that and we notice it all correctly, I think we have a crime fraud exception argument here as well. I think we can get him walking on this case because of the witness advocate rule. I think that's so strong in the 11th Circuit. But I think that the cherry on top would be to get all the communications between Shockett and Jeremy Hales disclosed in discovery. And if we can get a crime fraud exception, we get all of their emails, we get all their communications, and it'll be all over.
But wouldn't he say that that's attorney-client privilege?
That's why we have the crime fraud exception. That breaks the attorney-client privilege.
That breaks it? Okay.
You cannot act illegally to help a client commit a crime or a fraud. And if you're saying, the video, and I know the video you're talking about, where we have Jeremy being counseled by Randy to tell a lie or to break the law, then we have him. It's jackpot.
Your client is telling you that they plan to engage in a criminal activity. You're supposed to withdraw. That's grounds to withdraw. Okay. And so there's a lot. See, nothing in law is black and white. That's why even like what we were talking about, the 230 immunity, nothing is absolute. There's always exceptions. There's always arguments around things. But
in this case, okay, this what happened at the depot. Randy was harassing and torturing Michelle. Okay, I don't want to say he got her confused. Don't want to speak for Michelle as far as that, but she was definitely, anxiety ridden. I mean, it was obvious, right? And he's trying to get her to send a conversation that she had with Jeremy. And when she went to do it, she mistakenly somehow sent it to Jeremy, right? Jeremy is sitting at this time. Jeremy's sitting right behind Shockett. Okay. Listening to this whole depot. He's sitting there listening to the whole freaking thing with his phone in his hand. God knows if he's actually filming it on there or whatever. I don't know. Okay. But a day or two later, he calls the cops. You see on the dash cam how he comes out, is on the phone with Randy, who was there when this text happened, who basically got her to send the text. Okay. And he jumps off the phone and says this. And the biggest thing is when the cop says, and why would she do that? He says, I don't know, laughingly, she's crazy.
Well, she's crazy. Yeah,
she's crazy.
Like I said yesterday, one thing that is a dead giveaway, if you follow what Jeremy accuses others of, it's what he's actually doing, and it actually gives you foreshadowing on what to investigate with him, because that's everything that it does. Okay, you guys, the abusive process claim against Michelle, what you're just describing to me sounds very much like abusive process, because you're lying to law enforcement, you're tampering with law enforcement investigation, lying, deceiving. These are all part of abusive process claims. And it sounds like
not only that, on the same dash cam, and I'm not sure if this really means anything, but you see the effects of what happened. He said he wanted a contempt of court on her, and they show you like the officer going to speak to her. She thought she was going to get arrested right there on the spot. And
then we saw the mental anguish.
Yeah, she's holding her daughter in her arms. Okay, as this is happening, and then as the officer leaves, okay, I would get tears by her. Okay, as the officer leaves, she literally turns around and John grabs her and hugs her. You see this on the dash cam. You see the emotional freaking strain that just put on her. The fear that she was going to be taken away from her daughter because of Jeremy's bullshit and his lies. And I'm sorry, Shockett was on that call. He knew what Jeremy was doing. He knew why that cop was there. There's no way he could freaking deny it.
Well, go ahead, David. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, yet all those pro-Hales people say that there are no counterclaims, that any kind of counterclaims are BS for Miss Preston. And I find that intentional infliction of emotional distress. Let's start with that.
You guys,
for 2.5 years.
Suing you under is your counterclaim. Okay. Because let me tell you this, one thing that I've noticed in researching the FDUCPA, or whatever, Florida Deceptive Trade Practice Act, what it's very strongly conveying to me when he's going on to his social media platform, he is publishing false information that is deceiving the audience. These are clear facts. These can be absolutely proven as false very easily.
For 2 years.
Yeah, and so
she's ADA too.
What he's done is he has created this narrative that he is the victim, that he is in need of attorney fees. So based on the false spreading of just false statements about everybody involved, that he has perpetrated and created upon himself, he is receiving funding for that from his audience. Okay.
Oh, that's nothing. I mean, I have so many copies of screenshots of his posts that he puts up for his whatnot. He starts it off with due to Deuce's anti-ecosystem or whatever, or anti-Hales ecosystem. We've lost this. Please help us. Come to whatnot and, come buy or spend or get your $15 discount. You know what I mean?
Well,
and he did it so many times.
Yeah, that's a Lantham Act false advertisement.
Yeah, that's adding in a commercial enterprise.
Yeah.
Leslie, I have so many posts on a daily basis of him saying the same thing until the day they filed the Second Amendment complaint. Or no, I'm sorry, the First Amendment complaint.
Yeah.
That was, I think, on the 4th. I'm not sure what day it was. But anyway, the post that came out that day didn't say it was Deuce's anti-what the hell's ecosystem thing. The reason why is because on that filing, it turned into the weak scheme. Like now it's the Lee scheme. Okay. Yeah. So he went and tried to change it from everything he's been saying this whole time about it being Deuce's what the hell's to weeks. And then 3 days later, because trust me, I was now watching it. All right. 3 days later, back to Deuce's what the hell thing. I was like, thank you. I'm like, you just threw it right back against Deuce and constantly doing the same thing again. So Who started this? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Remember, Jeremy, you filed this fucking complaint on March 3rd, 2024. When did Bruce come into the picture? When did you hear me say a word on my channel about any of this?
Yeah.
You know, and then he's claiming that he's lost money since 2023. That's not on me. That's on your bullshit of starting with Michelle in 2023.
Yeah, it was a new form of content that his fans didn't know how to accept.
You know, what
if he even lost money, because I show otherwise.
You know,
I show he's gained.
You know, what you almost have to research to see how to also expose this is, you know, throughout history, churches have done frauds too to get money from the congregation, right?
Churches?
Yeah, churches have been accused and convicted of such, right? You almost got to look at it the same way.
If you ask me, that's how. If you ask me, his church or wherever he was for many years as a preacher is how he learned and got the experience to fool people and calm them in the whole 9 yards.
Well, you know, and it goes back to, you know, like I said, he has made, like, how do you make somebody who's wanting donations for endangered species turtle rescue, not for her own self-gain, but to help turtles? How do you spin that and make that something negative? I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing, if you look at the allegations against Michelle, they're ludicrous. And you got
he used that. He used that because he was all, you know, I love turtles. I love turtles. You know, he used that in the beginning. And then what he did is he turned to her child. And to this day, there's not a video that he puts out he does not.
Well, he tries to make, he's a moral crusader trying to, what he does, he starts these situations. He creates a false narrative, and then he wants to come and rescue and be the moral crusader. And then, or if that doesn't work, then he's the victim, right?
Yeah, he had a hashtag. He had a hashtag Save Harley Grace. And then it was like, well, why are
saving his own kids
now
who he perpetrated harm on?
And now that people are talking about, like, don't use Harley, now it's hashtag Save the Child. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Let's stop for a second. Who the hell is a man who his own kids won't even talk to him? The court suspended his visitation from his own kids. He clearly got a psychological order for good cause, although we haven't seen those documents, but we see it procedurally that it was done. Who the hell is this man?
It's the only way he can hit them and hurt them.
But shame on his audience. Shame on the Hoducks.
Exactly. They should be able to have common sense and see what the hell's really happening.
Then here's another thing. You know, here he is in $1 million, one of his properties in Ohio that he's bragging all over the place with that Willis guy in the last couple of days. And then he's bragging about his trinkets and how much this is worth and that is worth, and he's showing this house. And then in the same accord, he's filing lawsuits and asking middle-income people, probably poverty-stricken people, for donations for his legal fees. It doesn't get much more idiotic than that.
It's preposterous, isn't it? It really is. It's crazy.
But it shows you the stupidity of those that follow and believe this narrative. Listen, this isn't my opinion. This is the facts, man. Put logic together.
Yeah.
Put logic together. I mean, this is nobody. I mean, this is the facts.
They say it's inappropriate for any of us to bring up anything about Hales' family or anything like that. But that's what Hales does. He goes for everybody's family. He goes for that's okay because that's entertainment for them. But if it's about their Messiah, it's like you shouldn't be doing that. It's wrong. Like, look in the mirror and see what your Messiah is doing. He's doing that, if not worse, you know.
But listen, you're okay. It's one thing to charge subscriptions for entertainment. It's another thing to have an agent mod from your company go and start a GoFundMe page where you, according to public records on the internet, Google, he has raised, at least as that we know, $35,000 for his legal fees based on bullshit. Okay, now this is beyond entertainment. Now you're deceiving and lying. This is everything that he's accusing you guys of. That's your counterclaim, man. Just reverse it on him. He's the one that's doing it. But what he did was he's a con. So he wanted to reverse the blame before you could expose him. He was going to get you first. He was going to file against you and set his audience on looking at you as the perpetrators of these claims that he's, alleging you did. That he did. It's insane to me. And I'm not afraid of this dude. I think this dude is pathetic. I think he is he's overcompensating for truly his inadequate person that he is inside. And like I said, he just narcissistic people. And I my opinion, he's you couldn't get much more of a narcissist, in my opinion. People, that are narcissists, they'll look in the mirror and they'll see what they've convinced themselves of the lie that's in front of them. But those that know the truth see them for who they really are. And psychologists will say they don't want to see the truth because if they saw the truth to who they really were, they might not be able to handle that. It might be catastrophic for them. That's why they live in a false delusional bubble.
Bruce was asking about if somebody had that video about that woman in the wheelchair on oxygen that gave Jeremy some money at the town meeting. It's one that was done by Travis early on. So if you look for it, I don't know if you'd have it, because I don't even know if you were part of this, Lisa, when that happened, but it's been quite a while ago. But Travis took the video of that was at the town meeting.
$2.
Yeah, I would say I am on red alert right now because you guys know that I do guardianship cases and I deal with elderly
Is that the same video where the man was upset with him and he was on oxygen?
You know, I don't remember if
that his wife used to work for the town or something.
Yeah,
that's one of Jeremy's videos.
That's when
Travis was probably filming.
That's when they were kind of threatening a little bit towards the clerk, or talking like they were. But that.
And guys, we have to wrap. Unfortunately, I have a client meeting at 2:00 today with my husband. I have to prepare for it soon, so we'll have to end at 1:30. But it's just unreal. It's unreal. Like this guy is out of control. But let me tell you, let me tell you guys something. One thing that I love, like you guys know that my mission on earth is I'm a justice fighter. I don't care. It's not about money to me. It's about being the voice to those that, are vulnerable or being taken advantage of. And I've made it my mission ever since 2011 to be that voice for others. And so my message, and if you guys haven't listened to it, I gave it all to you guys. Feel free to share and post and upload on your own forums. I'm not going anywhere. And he's not going to bankrupt me because guess what? I can represent myself as a pro se litigant, and I was a damn good trial attorney. So when it comes to trial, I'm representing myself, and I don't need to pay an attorney to do that. Okay, but seriously, and I'll keep him in. I'll keep it. But listen, I'm going to keep him in litigation till that truth comes out, till the truth comes out, and I'm going to keep tabs on all these lies. And at the end of this whole shebang, I'm going to have a full blown documentary with date timestamps to the truth versus the lies, and then. You know what I mean? Because it's unbelievable. He's a con artist. He's an absolute. Yeah. You guys know that I looked up his education. That was a crock of shit, according to his resume. That was a crock of crap. And I've gone into detail for that. And by the way, I sent him emails the other day because I'm doing my due diligence. And I said, well, Jeremy, if you could just, I'm not going to say it if you can clarify and give me evidence of the contrary. I said, but according to your resume that's posted on Indeed and all these other forums, you're claiming you got a Bachelor of Science degree in organizational leadership from Appalachian Baptist College. When you go to Appalachian Baptist College, one, they don't even offer a Bachelor of Science. They only offer a BA, and they have no accelerated program, and they certainly don't have any major that goes by that name. And so then you're saying you got your master's, but you can't get your master's without your bachelor's. So tell me if I'm wrong, and please provide me evidence to the contrary. Stop saying it. So I'm waiting on that evidence. I'm waiting. And there's a couple other questions I asked him as well.
Leslie, yeah. I have breaking news. So everybody knows what's happening down here in Florida, right? So we have Alligator Alcatraz. Trump is putting Alligator Alcatraz in South Florida. I am about an hour away, maybe a little more. I'm going to take a ride, as the breaking news, out to Alligator Alcatraz and start taking statements from the alligators to see if anyone got abused by Jeremy Hales. I think we have Alligator movement from Alligator Alcatraz because everybody knows that Jeremy Hales is an alligator farmer. So I want to make sure that he is not sexually abusing the alligators in Alligator Alcatraz, who have now been deputized by ICE. They have to be in good condition if they're going to work for ICE and work at Alligator Alcatraz. And therefore, they cannot be victims of Jeremy Hales' sexual abuse. So this is what
male and female alligators, Rich, or just...
he's such a good pastor. He might be going both ways with the alligators.
Well, that's the news. Maybe we can find out.
Guys, listen, I'm going to end it.
Hey, wait, before you end this, Leslie, I wanted to answer. Georgie came on here during her live, so I'm assuming she would.
Marble Mouth?
Yes.
Georgie?
Yeah,
okay.
and she wanted to know if we kicked Bruce to the curb. Now, Bruce has been in the chat all along today, and it should be self-explanatory.
Yeah.
He is not kicked to the curb by any of us.
No, not at all.
He's not a
And
YouTuber.
if you want to walk in his shoes a little bit, you dumb shit, you go ahead and try it.
He's not a YouTuber.
Well, listen, I have a message. Here's the deal. I have a message. I have a couple clips from my message to Jeremy Hales that we're going to end with. Okay. And this is how we'll close. And these are a couple of clips. Feel free to stick around and you guys can hear
Marble Mouth, you need to
message.
freaking look at what the hell you're doing. The guys, Bruce is in the chat and you come in here. She doesn't pay attention.
Well, this is why we have people, committing suicide that are moms, that are angels of light, because we have an evil battle on this earth, and people that come in and make insulting comments with ridiculous inability to actually have a competent, logical, legal argument. You guys are just evil, man.
That's just not around for her brains. Put it that way.
Well, yeah. So enough with the insults. That's just pure evil. You want to talk to us? You want to talk? Give us a competent, legal, educated argument. It's the only way I'm going to listen to you. Everything else is garbage.
And the harassment.
And that's why you guys get taken. That's why you guys remain poor and Hales is getting rich. That's what, hey, it's getting off my back. I'm not giving the man money. You guys want to be suckered? Hey, it's on you. Probably not that you're not doing that well financially in life. You're giving money to people like Hales, but hey, it's on you. Anyway, I'm going to end it like this.
Keyboard warrior, Marble Mouth.
Yeah, feel free to stick around. All right. Discrimination that you are making fun of, and you just saw somebody just committed suicide. You're unreal, man. You've got to be one of the most evil people out there. And I did send you an email a long time ago because I wanted to believe that maybe at some point of your life, you were living a good moral life with God and everybody else. And somehow you lost your path, and it happens. We're humans. We get taken. Some people open up to, evil influence. And I wanted to remind you, God always forgives. God always forgives. And you can always come humbly asking for forgiveness. And I asked you to do that because I saw through you, Jeremy. You were not a hard person to see through. I wrote the Hodunks before I knew anything about you because I already knew the type of person you were. And it just so happens that as time has gone on, the Hodunks have keep getting more and more accurate with what is going on. When people die, when people get hospitalized, when people have a mental health decline where they can't get out of bed, when people kill themselves, there is no immunity anymore. And if a human being at Google LLC and YouTube have been informed in writing with a certified letter to the harm your channel is perpetrating and those that are with you are perpetrating and causing onto people that are protected under the ADA, it's not going to be as easy for you, coward. No. But my message to you, Jeremy Hales, find God fast. To sit there and make your audience believe that all your victims that you target are actually victimizing you, coward, Jeremy Hales. Bible? You want to give ministry on the Bible? I heard your beginning of your sermon where you change your accent. You sound like a theatrical performer. You're a joke, man. You're a joke. Poor Michelle Preston, a simple woman that you decided to target, make famous overnight with your narrative while grabbing donations from the public. And then what's so sad is then anybody that helps the woman you target too. So you get an attorney from out of state willing to be donate his time to be her attorney so he can help her have a voice in our legal system. And then you target him and you make fun of him being Jewish with exaggerated noses and thumbnails so you can get clickbait to have your people click and follow this narrative all at his expense, hurting him, hurting his family and his children. You don't know what goes behind closed doors. You don't know how people feel. And then it even gets better than that. Then you attack social media influencers who decide to support Michelle Preston and Bruce, who you've named Deuce and made an exaggerated nose. They give them a platform to have a voice about what you're doing. And then you target and make fun of them. And then it even gets further than that. Then I come into the picture supporting the influencers that are being attacked, and you target me. You know what? I've come to this realization. You guys have all talked about my mental health diagnosis, which I am open and proud of. I'm proud of this diagnosis, that I'm protected under the ADA, because this diagnosis allows me to feel extreme empathy, which also allows me to feel extreme pain. But at least I can feel. And at least I can feel someone else's pain enough to not want to perpetrate pain on them. But, you know, they say in this day and age, the common narcissist, they don't have that ability. No, they don't even think about what their words are, how they're affecting somebody, or could affect someone's children, or anybody, or their families, or whatever it is. You just don't care because you can't feel. And that's why you can turn around and lie to people. And you do lie to people. You want to call that defamation? Take me to court, buddy. I'll bring out all the stuff. Let's go ahead and start with your resume that's posted everywhere, and your master's degree and some 4-year degree, Jeremy Hales, that you claim you got in 2 years for a BS from Appalachian State for organizational leadership. And when I go to Appalachian State and talk with them, they don't even offer such a degree. So you want to go there. I have my reasons for believing you're a con artist. To sit there and make your audience believe that all your victims that you target are actually victimizing you, coward, Jeremy Hales. Coward, boy, not no man. You're nothing even close to a man. Because you know what you're doing. I'm looking at you. You know what you're doing. And you know the lies and the harm you're causing. And you're causing it because deep down inside, you feel inadequate. You don't want to look in the mirror and see your reflection the way that people that see the truth see who you are. It's too scary. Because if you were to see your own reflection as it truly appears to others who see through you, you might not be able to handle it. So instead, you convince yourself that you're old, this and that, and you get these dumb people that don't question anything going, okay, oh, go. You're not all that, man. You're not that. So what? You have however many people, there's many YouTube subscribers or influencers that have triple what you have, buddy. It's not that big of a deal. You have no education, really, like anything like worth merit. You just have the ability to con people and lie, and you've made a living off of that. While you go and brag about your home in Ohio and all this stuff to a bunch of people that don't have anything, as you're asking them to pay your legal fees. What man does that? And look at your puppet, George, your little puppet. She doesn't know mind. It's clear. She's not that bright. It's clear. You're screwing around with her too, taking her name off titles and quitclaim deeding properties to you. I certainly hope that girl has not invested money. Not a lot of protections when your name's not on the property, you're not married, and you're making real estate investments. There's a lot of people that get screwed that way. But you can con her because she's easy to be conned, right? Because she's an insecure girl. And you probably have fed her insecurity, made her more insecure, because I would have it that you're probably not the nicest guy to be in a relationship with. You probably, word on the street says you're not nice at all. Records say, no, you're definitely not nice, according to records. Your own kids, they shun you. Congratulations, bravo, buddy. You're winning in life, aren't you? Maybe to your hodunks, maybe for this moment in time. But make no mistake, I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to drain me financially. And even if you ever did, I wouldn't care. Money doesn't mean anything to me. What does matter is justice. That's why I became an attorney at 33 years old. It was never about the money. Before that, I was a teacher, and I owned a dance studio. And I worked with children. Not the most lucrative profession. When I felt a calling to help those who cannot help themselves with this legal system, I gave up everything, and I went to law school. And I went to fight for those without a voice. And I retired because I realized I do a much better job behind the scenes when people don't know I'm involved. They don't see me coming. And I'm allowed to paralegal now. The majority of cases are done outside of the court. But I'm not going anywhere because I don't, if somebody, let me tell you something, I have a calling in this world so strong. You want to talk ministry and preaching? I'm a warrior of God, Jeremy. I'm a warrior and I'm a fighter for those without a voice. That is my sole purpose on this earth. There's nothing you're going to do to stop me from helping others. And there's nothing you're going to do to scare me from helping the voiceless. Because I will. You will not destroy these people. You will not ever destroy these people with me involved. And I will take the legal route on this, and I will take it as far as I can go until the truth comes out. And I don't care if I have money at the end of the day or I don't, because it's not what it's about for me. Because that's my purpose in this life. I've realized that. I'm blessed to know that. I found that out in 2011 when God spared my life. He allowed me to stay on this planet, and I promised him from that day moving forward, I would be his warrior, and I would fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. And it just so happens I do have an education, and I do know the law. And I'm allowed to represent myself in these cases. I am. I can be pro se. I don't need to hire an attorney to represent me. I can do it all myself if I want to. You know, I'm not going anywhere. Now, you, on the other hand, you are going to need an attorney. So, you know, all your videos where you want to try to bankrupt people, that's your reason for litigation. You're not going to bankrupt me. Not going to happen. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. And let me tell you something. I've lived out of a church before, homeless. It was probably one of the happiest times in my life. And when I realized I could live on barely anything and feel more peace than I'd ever felt in my entire life, I realized at that moment I was held under bondage to society, and the most freeing feeling was having nothing and still surviving. It was a very free feeling. No one can take anything else away from you. Can't take my brain, Jeremy. Nope. Can't take my heart. And I am blessed to have bipolar disorder because I feel emotions like most people could only dream of feeling. And that is why I feel such empathy for others. I feel as if it's my own pain. I fight for them as if it's my own fight. And that's a blessing to me, that I have that ability to feel and care for others. But you're not going to get away with this for long. You go laugh, ha, 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 got Lisa suspended and this person suspended. There's a whole different fight when you get past the bots. There's a whole different fight when you go to the parenting companies of the YouTube channel. It's a whole different fight. And it's coming. Thank you.